Over in the space at DC Comics, the publisher is currently ensnared into the 2 month Night Terrors event, in which DC villain Insomnia went ahead and plunged the DC universe into a deep slumber as he searches through the nightmares of several characters for the mysterious Nightmare Stone. Today, we're going to go ahead and venture into Night Terror Superman to take a look at how Clark Kent is going to react to his version of the Nightmare Realm, complete with the Nightly Planet and Super Reaper. My name is Arako Braddock, and let's go ahead and take a look over at this new installment of Night Terrors. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to go ahead and encourage you to consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that like button if you enjoy our content. And I want to go ahead and introduce some context over with Night Terror Superman with DC Comics solicitation text. What does the Man of Steel have nightmares about? Clark Kent knows why he's been pulled into the Nightmare Realm and goes in search of his family and friends. But that journey takes him to the haunted Nightly Planet, where he is confronted by the Super Reaper. In the waking world, Superman was mid-flight when he was hit by the Nightmare Wave. Where he crash lands will surprise you. Want to introduce our creative team over on Night Terror Superman. This issue is written over from Joshua Williamson, featuring art from Tom Reilly, colors from Nathan Fairbairn, letters over from Ariana Maher, and we have a cover for the issue coming in directly from Gleb Melnikov. Here's a look over at Melnikov's cover on Night Terror Superman. Really appreciate the kind of more animated and expressive line that Melnikov lends over to some of his work as well. And of course, I want to extend a big thank you over to Adventures in Poor Taste for posting our preview for Night Terror Superman so quickly. And here's a look up on the screen over at the mysterious Super Reaper, who shows up a little bit later over in the issue as well. And I want to kick off our review by talking a little bit about Tom Reilly's art over in the issue. I really appreciated the really kind of precise line that Reilly lent over to this series. I feel like we haven't quite seen Deadman as a character portrayed in quite the same way that we see over from Reilly's art. Throughout this issue, I feel like Reilly is kind of testing the boundaries of the comic book page. Take a look at this page, for instance, as Superman is kind of being haunted by some characters, and we get mostly a kind of firm page over in the kind of background with just a few smaller and strangely shaped panels over in other elements as well. On the next page, that sense of negative space in the issue really brings out something special over in the series. I think what really helps Tom Reilly's art in this issue are those wonderful colors over from Nathan Fairbairn, whose work always kind of fascinates me whenever I see him contributing over to the series. And another aspect that really had me excited about what Tom Reilly contributed to this work was later on in the issue, as Superman is kind of flying through several locations. He literally flies through the panel borders. So I really have to hand it to just how Tom Reilly is able to kind of tell a story, interpret the script over from Joshua Williamson, and really interpret the page. And I think, again, due to the fact that we have Nathan Fairbairn also contributing that precise set of colors, whether it be like negative space in this panel or some fascinating blue and purple hues over in this panel that we have up on the screen, I did think the work contributed here is really fascinating. One larger conversation that we've had about Night Terrors is that we've appreciated some of the more expressionistic work that we've gotten from people like Howard Porter over from Night Terror's First Blood. I would say that this art is much more kind of precise and measured, but it's good to have that kind of diversity over in terms of some of the art within Night Terrors. And I thought that Tom Reilly also did a great job kind of introducing some horror imagery, especially as you get a little bit later on into the story as well. I want to switch gears and talk a little bit about some of Joshua Williamson's script over on Night Terror Superman. I thought we had some really wonderful sequences here. It was so interesting to kind of get the chance to see Joshua Williamson go as dark as he possibly could over on this Superman script. One of the elements that I think really made this chapter stick out was the fact that it was kind of plunged firmly within the greater continuity of the Superman title. So, really appreciate the fact that Williamson is kind of carrying over just a couple plot threads and themes from his greater Superman series over to this title as well. Also, I think the way that this book brought in the Nightly Planet really captured the humor elements of this book that we've also seen in previous Superman issues very, very well here. So, I really appreciate the fact that there's some thematic elements that are crossing over from these issues, even within the context of the Night Terror story. Superman's wacky adventures within the Nightly Planet also made this issue stick out as well. Really like some of those crazy and horrific scenarios that we got from both Williamson as well as Reilly in the issue. I think some of the imagery here that's captured is really precise and magical. Lastly, I just wanted to say that this book also had some really interesting left turns here. I think it did a good job kind of honoring the greater dawn of DC character with one of the cameos that we got towards the end of the series. And I think that the last page introduced an element of Night Terror's Superman that I never expected to see within that context. So at the end of the day here, I think Night Terror's Superman offered a really intriguing look over at the Man of Steel. I think this book did a wonderful job kind of capturing a horror series that had a bit of a lighter tone as compared to some of the other Night Terrors comics. While there's still a lot of kind of heady violence and scary imagery over in this series, I think it manages to capture some of these elements in a bit of a lighter context to introduce something that has a tone that's a little bit unique in terms of all the Night Terrors tie-ins. I want to know from you, out of some of these Night Terrors books, do you think this issue stands out? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, did you appreciate Tom Reilly's art throughout this issue as much as I did as well? Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review over for Night Terrors Superman, and we'll be back for everything Night Terrors and DC Comics in the near future. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.